Hello YouTube, how's it going? This is the crossover and I'm back with another video. Today is going to be another one of my prospect breakdowns for the 2022 NBA draft. And in today's video, we are going to be covering G League Ignite's Marjon Beauchamp. So without any further delay, let's get straight into the video. Moving on, we do have some stats to cover regarding Marjon. He is 20 years old, stands at about 6 foot 6 inches, weighs about 200 pounds, and has a 7 foot 1 inch wingspan. Now, I usually say that these prospects are impressive, in terms of their physical profile. Well, of course, most of them have to be because, they are NBA prospects, right? But when I really state that Marjon is arguably the most impressive player in terms of his physical profile in this class, I really mean it. I think it's him, Jaden Ivey, and Jalen Duren. I think those three are in a tier by themselves in terms of just their athleticism and just their physical profile overall. Like Marjon Beauchamp's, I'll just say right now, most of his strengths just come from just his physical profile and just what it allows him to do on the court. So in this class, Marjon Beauchamp's has arguably the most impressive physical profile. You love that 6 foot 6 inches, even though he's only listed at 200 pounds. He carries that weight very well. He's able to do a lot of different things. I'm not going to get into all the specifics right now, but you kind of get the point. With that 7 foot 1 wingspan, just so impressive, just such an impressive physical profile for Marjon. However, this is his first year with G League Ignite, where he has averaged a solid 15.1 points, 7.3 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.5 steals, and 2.2 turnovers per game. Very, very solid stat line for the forward/guard. In terms of his efficiency, it's not as impressive. He's shooting very well overall from the field at 57.1%. He has a 57.1% field goal percentage. However, in terms of his shooting numbers, they are a bit lackluster. Leaving more to be desired as he is shooting 65% from the free throw line and 24.2% from the 3-point line. So overall, I think, again, the same thing with Dyson Daniels in the previous video. Although I can't get a hold of clear advanced stats regarding the G League players, I think that given the fact that he's shooting 24.4% from the 3-point line, the fact, and he still has 57.1% effective, not an effective, just a regular field goal percentage, and he is averaging 7.3 rebounds. Even though he is 6'6", I feel like that should give you a pretty clear indication into the type of player that Marjon is. Moving on to some of Marjon's strengths as a prospect. First up, I want to discuss the defensive side of the floor, as I believe this to be between his defense and his offense. I believe just the defensive side of the floor to be where he's really going to thrive at the NBA level. And what I really love about Marjon is just his point of attack defense. Now, don't get me wrong, it definitely needs work right now. I will talk about some aspects of his point of attack defense in the concern section, but just overall, just with that physical profile, it just allows him to just do so much on the court. A lot of his strengths are at the same time weaknesses. I'll just state that right now. Like, a lot of things that he's good at, he also struggles with. He's just a very raw prospect overall, but just that physical profile, especially on defense, he's just so impressive. He's shown possessions as a point of attack defender where it just leaves you jaw dropping with just how laterally quick he is. He'll just cut off a guard's driving lane and then pick their pocket. And he really has shown the ability to guard multiple positions, whether that be guards, forwards, even sometimes centers. He has a pretty strong lower body, similar to Dyson Daniels, where he doesn't necessarily get back down all the time. So it's just so impressive. And again, he's just so laterally quick, and with that wingspan, he's just able to stay in front of guards a lot. And although he is at times inconsistent in terms of a point of attack defender, he's just shown a lot of flashes, just given his athletic profile that just suggests that he will be a very, very good point of attack defender at the NBA level. At least that's his upside. Looking at him as a prospect right now. Different side of defense that I also really like is his strong side. Defense. He's very active as a defender. I think that he's able to pick off passing lanes very well. He's just able to get in front of them, jump out, and get to them before the guy who the pass was intended to be for can get there. Just because, again, I'm just going to keep saying it, just with how athletic he's just able to jump these passing lanes. And that's really impressive, especially when guards drive towards him. Just with that wingspan, he's able to kind of, jump at them and really bother them, just given how long he is. And that's very impressive, again, for a guy who as raw as Marjon to be able to bother defenses as much as he can, even though again he can be inconsistent at times. But still, it's very impressive to see, and I feel like a lot of this is it's inconsistent right now, but you just see the framework for it being a real strength at the NBA level. And the same thing goes for his weak side defense as well. He, in my opinion, this is arguably his biggest weakness right now. It's just he struggles to really see. We'll talk about that in the concerns part, but he does a solid job again. Being able to sometimes read passing lanes and again pick them off on the weak side. Jump cross court passes and whatnot. Even though his weak side defense is something that he's really going to have to work on, overall, just the flashes that he's shown being able to pick off these passing lanes is just very impressive. And he also shown a lot of potential as a rim protector, like a lot. Like he's able to similar to Dyson Daniels, even more so than Dyson, just effortlessly just get off of 2 feet, not even have to like wind up, just off of 2 feet, just boom, just pin the ball right below the rim, and that's just incredible. It's just incredible. There's very few players in this class that are capable of that, like Marjon is, and that's just extremely impressive. And again, that's as a strong side rim protector, and he's also able to come off from the weak side, from the help side, and just come out of nowhere and just obliterate a shot. Again, with just how athletic he is. So overall, in terms of his defense, it's still a work in progress in almost every single aspect of his defensive game right now. But again, just given that physical profile and some of the flashes that he has shown of real flashes of brilliance on the defensive side of the floor, I really like how he's going to project as a defender at the next level. Moving on to the offensive side of the floor, where I believe his biggest strength to be right now is his mid-range shot. I'm not crazy on his form. We will talk about that in the concern section, but it works for his mid-range shot. Let's just say his form works for his mid-range shot. He loves to get elevation, and he loves it like right around the free throw line extended. He loves that area of the court, like that 10 to 16 feet, more so like that 10-foot area on the court. He really, really loves to get there. A lot of these G League teams play Ignite in a zone, and that usually leaves the free throw line wide open. So Marjon loves to just fill that in, just get there, catch, elevate. He does a great job of elevating on a shot too. And then you combine that with his wingspan, it makes his shot potentially very hard to contest. And I say potentially because of some of his mechanics that do bother me. But overall, he really likes the mid-range shot. And even though his 3-point shot is a bit of a question for me, I really love that mid-range shot and floaters overall. I think he does a great job of getting off floaters as well. Again, and that's very impressive to see him be able to, similar to Dyson Daniels in a way, just be able to recognize, okay, this is the opening in the floor. Let me cut there, let me get there, and let me get the shot up. That's very impressive to see from a player as raw as Marjon is. And then in terms of his handle, I still feel like, again, it's a work in progress, but he has shown a lot of flashes in terms of different reaction moves to defenders. Like, as I state here, spin moves, some hesitation, some behind the backs when he feels pressure in terms of, pick and roll situations where he is the ball handler. Sometimes a defender will kind of cut off his driving lane, and then he'll spin off them or hit them with a behind the back, and then hezzy the next defender and then get to the rim. And it only takes Marjon, 2-3 dribbles to get to the rim. And again, moving on to my next, which leads into my next point, where there's very few players in this class that can get to the rim as easily as Marjon can. As I state here, maybe only Jaden Ivey is the only player that comes to mind that can just get to the rim as easily as Marjon can. And he can rise up at the rim and he'll get up there. His finishing is still something that he does need to work on. We'll talk more about some of the specifics in the concern section, but overall, just is so gifted in terms of just an athlete, and I'm just really going to keep on saying that. But a little bit more on his handle. Just overall, I feel that even though it is a bit of a work in progress right now, it's still very assuring some of the signs that he has shown, in terms of just being able to rely on his instincts right now to pull off certain moves. And I feel like with proper NBA development, I feel like he can develop into definitely not a primary or secondary ball handler, but maybe a tertiary, maybe the fourth ball handler on the court. And my final strength for Marjon, I haven't necessarily seen it a whole lot. His cutting doesn't necessarily stand out, but just, again, with how quick he is, how strong he is, how fast he is, it takes him a dribble to get to the basket. With that wingspan, I feel like his ability to be a cutter is something that really can be unlocked. And although he does cut a little bit, and I guess you could technically say that he cuts to the free throw line to get off that mid range shot, which is his bread and butter. Right now, I wouldn't necessarily call that cutting. I'm more so talking about back doors and face cuts and whatnot, because he's just so big, so strong that it's like I don't know too many players that are going to be able to really stop. Like if Marjon Buchanan decides, all right, I'm gonna cut. I don't know how many players are just going to be able to like cut him off outright, and like he just won't be able to do anything with them. Like he's that gifted, uh, as just an athlete overall. So I feel that as a cutter, maybe running some plays, some backdoor sets for him can really be something that NBA teams take advantage of. As I state here, so overall offensively, still a lot of work to do, but I like the mid range shot. I like the fact that he has a spot that on the court that he likes to get to. The handle has shown some flashes, in terms of different reaction moves that he has. And he's just able to get to the rim at will. Just such a gifted athlete again, and really that athleticism I think could really help him in terms of being a very good cutter at the NBA level. And I feel that he's going to need as many strengths as possible, given some of his shooting deficits, some of his shooting concerns that I do have with him in terms of translating to the next level. Moving on to some of the concerns that I do have regarding Marjon. First off, I want to talk about his lateral quickness a bit. And although I did state before that there are certain possessions where Marjon will jump in front of, ball handlers, where it's very impressive, cut off their driving lanes. A lot of the times, if he gets hit with, if with a very, very solid, between the legs, real quick, rejecting a screen or whatnot, and Marjon's out the play. He's out the play. His lateral footwork is a bit sloppy. It's very inconsistent right now, and there are times where he will cross up his feet, and he won't like necessarily fall or anything, but it'll just prevent him from being able to slide and get and cut off the ball handler, and make him change directions, right? So I feel like this is something that he's really, really gonna have to work on. His lateral footwork really needs to become consistent, because given his given certain concerns that I do have with him on the offensive side of the floor, I do feel like Marjon is going to need every possible strength in order to become an effective NBA player, which I do think he can become. So I really think that lateral footwork is something that he really is going to have to work on in order to be a consistent point of attack defender. And another point that I do want to make is more so on his weak side defense. As I stated before, it is a concern of mine right now. Even though he can cut off passing lanes at times, most of the times he really struggles to read plays, read what's going on, jump screens. He's not much of a communicator on the defensive side of the floor right now, and you can really tell. I said this right now. It seems almost as if Marjon Buchamp has never really had to deal with offensive sets this complicated before, and he's never had to really defend these kind of sets before, which is fine. It's he's a G League player. He's 20 years old. He's not in the NBA yet. He's probably gonna have an adjustment period in the NBA too. But you would, for a 20-year-old player, you probably would like to see him be a little bit more aware as a weak side defender than Marjon is at this point in time. So I feel like as I stated before, pretty much all of Marjon's strengths are in part his weaknesses too. Every single tangible part of his game can be seen as a strength and a weakness as well. And that still stands tall for it. As I stated, his point of attack defense is something that I really love, and at the same time, his lateral footwork is something that he needs to work on. His ability to jump passing lanes as a weak side defender is very tantalizing, but his ability to read plays and get through screens as on the weak side is something that he is going to really have to work on too, right? So that's what I really mean when I say that all of his strengths can be viewed as weaknesses as well. Moving on to the offensive side a bit more. His handle is kind of loose right now, as I stated before. Again, his handle, the same thing. He's shown some reaction moves, but at the same time, his handle is a bit loose right now. If a defender pressures him, and a decent defender is pressuring him, he is liable to turn the ball over. If he attacks in traffic, he's liable to turn the ball over right now. So again, another part of his game that he's going to have to improve on. And I'm really highlighting how raw our prospect Marjon Buchamp is at this point in time, right? And my really big concern with Marjon right now is his shooting form. Now his form, he kind of shoots, and then his shooting hand is like down. Well, it's kind of weird like this, but he kind of shoots like this, where you see how like the shooting hand it's the release is just so low, and then he kind of shoots it like, and the guide hand kind of fades out behind like that. And you see it with like a G Montero, like a Darius Garland kind of form. I mean, it works for them, but I mean, with my forwards, especially given how long of a wingspan Marjon has. As I stated before, I like my guards to have lower releases to get off the shot quicker. But for my forwards, especially 1.66 with a 7'1" wingspan, I want to see him, really have a high release and get that shot up. And it worries me, and I feel like his release is really part of the problem in terms of his 3-point inconsistencies, and I feel that it's also part of his free throw inconsistencies, because although he is making his bread and butter is really that mid range free throw shot, that's mid motion, right? He's catching that, going up, getting elevation, jumping up, as a part of, as opposed to a free throw where he's standing still, not jumping. It's very different shots, right? And I feel that is the biggest issue with his 3-point shot right now. And I would really, even if the release isn't necessarily lowered, I just want to see the guide hand even be more in tune with the shooting hand. But preferably, I would like to see both the guide hand be more in tune with the shooting hand, and as well as the shooting hand's release be raised as well. I feel like that's really the key to unlocking Marjon as a viable floor spacer at the next level. Because given all these strengths, I feel like the defense will work itself out. Just given how gifted he is as an athlete. Even though I have all these concerns right now, I feel that with NBA experience over time, I feel like he's going to develop. He's too impressive. He's too physically gifted not to. And he has shown signs. He has shown signs, as I stated, with all his strengths can be seen as weaknesses as well. So I feel like if they are things that he can improve on as time goes on. I think he has shown the upside of being able to improve on these things as time goes on. But that shooting release is really something that's going to have to improve, because even though it's not necessarily a problem in terms of his mid-range shot, I feel that it is going to be a problem in terms of being a consistent 3-point shooter. And really, my final weakness with Marjon is that he can struggle to finish through traffic right now. And again, this is something else that he's going to have to work on, because if that form never comes around and that 3-point shot never comes around, I feel that he's going to have to be a plus finisher. And even though he is right now, I still feel that there are times where he can be a bit out of control when going to the rim. Like, he can kind of attack and not necessarily have a plan. He's kind of just relying on his athleticism right now. And there are times where he'll go up and he'll kind of lean away from contact. And I feel that, again, given how big he is, how strong he is, he's going to have to lean into contact, absorb the contact, try to finish over it. He has the ability to do it. And I feel like that's just something that he's going to have to fine tune. So, looking at the concerns again, I'm saying it again, all of his strengths can be viewed as weaknesses, especially on the defensive side of the floor, right? With that point of attack defense, there's some aspects of it. There's sometimes where it's great. There's sometimes where it's not. With that weak side defense, sometimes it looks good, it's promising. Sometimes most of the time it's not, right? Even with the handle, it's promising sometimes it's not. But the shooting form is really, it's a huge concern for me. And it's the difference between him being, a very valuable role player in the league, and a Jaden McDaniels level player, where a great defender, but the offensive side of the floor kind of limits him from being a truly high level role player, right? So I feel that that's the shooting is going to be the swing skill. It's going to take time for him to work out these kinks in the NBA. He's very raw right now, very raw, if you guys couldn't tell, on both sides of the floor. He's going to have to go to an NBA organization that's going to nurture his skill set, really take care of him, really prioritize his growth, limit his responsibility from day one in the NBA. Just have him be a cutter, a screen setter, have him operate around the rim, have him take open threes, get him. He has to go to an organization where they're gonna try to work on his shooting, really prioritize it. And I feel that the defensive side of the floor will work itself out, but I do think that will take time. So overall, Marjon Beauchamp, very raw prospect right now, but a prospect that I really like. Again, just such a gifted athlete and has real two-way upside. He'll never be a star. He will not be a star in the NBA, but his upside is being a very high-end role player at the NBA level. Right now, I do have him in the early 20s. I think that's about appropriate for him. So yeah. And that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about Marjon Beauchamp in the comment section. Let me know where you guys think he should go in the draft. Do you guys think he is a high-end first-round talent? Do you guys think he's a lottery pick? Do you guys think he's a middle of the first-round talent, late in the first-round talent, maybe even a second-round talent? Let me know what you guys think about him. Let me know what you guys think his upside is. Let me know what you guys think he could become. Let me know what you guys think he will become. Let me know what you guys think is the best fit for him team-wise at the NBA level. And aside from that, that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have, please share the video with a friend. I want to keep growing the channel, keep growing the community that we have here. And again, I appreciate all of you guys for watching. And again, yeah, that's in the video. So please take care, everybody. Peace.